We're here with NHS Wellness, and today my guest is Dr. Leah Humphrey, and she is an ear, nose, and throat specialist here in Tahlequah. And we're going to talk about alpha-gal. That seems to be the biggest allergy. It's rampant, and we don't know much about it, but she does. So the first thing I want to know is, what is alpha-gal?
Okay, so yeah, hello. And so I'm ENT, and then a few ENTs will have a fellowship in allergy, and so that's why we do allergy. And so, yeah, alpha-gal. So it is to kind of sum it up, a tick-borne illness that makes you allergic to mammal meat, red meat. Beef, pork, bison, venison. I've had people ask me about raccoon. Yes, no squirrel, no rabbit, all of the hairy stuff.
They can't have rabbit or squirrel. Oh, wow.
Yeah, but so you can eat chicken and turkey and fish. Feathers and fins are your friends.
Really? What's the symptoms?
So they can vary. Okay, so So I'm allergy. So what typically makes it into my allergy office, people, and some people know about it, some people don't, some people are curious, some people not, but hey, random person, especially an adult randomly breaking out in hives, not just a one-time thing, just recurrent, they can't figure it out, or a lot of upset stomach, and sometimes even just kind of a one-time thing of anaphylaxis, like your tongue swelling, lip swelling, and so they come in to get allergy tested to figure that out. And so really in all ages, but especially, because we see it in kids too, but kids can develop hives and other stuff for other things, but adults, when you just randomly have anaphylaxis one day, in my mind, it is alpha-gal till proven otherwise, and most of the time it's alpha-gal. Mm-hmm. And so, but also in those, so I think I said upset stomach too, so that started coming in. But again, they would kind of present as I think I have a food allergy. And again, they're adults. Adults don't typically develop food allergies. You can, but there's kind of rare cases. And so again, my thought is, hey, it's probably alpha-gal. A lot of times it is. Now more and more people are knowing about it. And so they're coming hey, I think it's this, but it's still, oftentimes not. So those are the main things that make it to my office. Mm. But we also see, it can just cause weird symptoms. So a lot of times in those patients, hey, we diagnose alpha-gal, we'll talk about all the avoidance stuff, but they come back to me for follow-up, and they're oh my goodness, my brain fog is better. My joints were hurting every day. I'm having all my joint pain is better. I was having migraines, and all the migraines are better. So there's a lot of atypical symptoms as well that don't directly present to my office, but they tell me later all this stuff is better. So yeah.
Right.
It's crazy.
Well, I've been tested and was positive for alpha-gal, and I'm not telling anybody to do this by no means. Pork, you'll give me a little upset stomach, but I'm a red meat. I know
meat
with all freak.
I'm always don't tell me. But okay, so typically when I first diagnosed alpha-gal, so it's a big discussion. I have a seat. I'm okay, here's the deal. But at first, because it can be very overwhelming, I say, hey, avoid all mammal meat and all obvious gelatin, because gelatin is made with a beef byproduct, which is so hard. That's the tricky part. But I say obvious because it can get real into the weeds. But your Jell-O, your gummies, people forget about, marshmallows, even gel caps. So the obvious stuff. Right. But with alpha, and I say all mammal meat because it's weird. You'll hear it. It's an anytime allergy, not an every time allergy. And so I think I do okay with pork one time. And then the next time it could be anaphylaxis, even if you've never had it before. And so we just say, just completely avoid it altogether. I know, but because it's just weird. And so again, people are oh, I've never had that. And the next thing they know, they're having anaphylaxis. And so there's no rhyme or reason for one time you eat it and have no symptoms, another time upset stomach, another time hives. It's weird.
What about dairy?
So I only have found kind of about 30% of my alpha-gal patients have to avoid dairy. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of find different things, but I don't typically have them start with that if they haven't had problems with dairy already. And so, if they grew up, so I've never been able to have ice cream, well, then don't start now. But I say kind of do whatever you typically do with dairy. And then once they're avoiding their mammal meat and gelatin, most of the symptoms will be gone. And then if they're still having symptoms despite completely cutting it out, then I'll have them avoid dairy.
Right. So what about products that we use every day?
I know.
Lotions and makeup, cosmetics, those that do. And hair product.
I know it's in it. So that's where like the gelatin gets written. And so I still, because it's so overwhelming, like for the patient really to like, oh my goodness. So that's why I have them like focus big picture at first, like the mammal meat and obvious gelatin. And then that's where it gets tricky. So like the hair, so I don't necessarily initially have them have to avoid it. Now some of them, because like vegan products are becoming more common and it's easy to buy in the store. So I'm like, okay, if you see it, it's, you know, you can buy that. But not to like get in the weeds, because someone will come in and be like, I've even changed all my shampoo and all this sort of stuff. And they're, like all this like weird stuff that may or may not matter, but they're missing big picture, like cross-contamination. So, you know, if you order chicken at a restaurant, great. Just make sure they don't cook it on the same grill as the burger. Fast food's pretty much impossible because they just, you know, touch everything in the same fryer. And so people miss big picture and like try to focus on the weird stuff, and then they'll be like, oh, or, you know, beef tallow is all the rage these days. And so like most of the restaurants in town like actually fry their stuff in beef tallow. Yeah. So like KFC, Chicken Express, Buffalo Wild Wings, you know, you think you're ordering chicken and French fries and your body thinks it's eating steak. And so things like that get missed. And so that's why it's still usually big picture instead of like worrying about weird, crazy secret ingredients. Sometimes people do have to avoid those, but I say focus on big picture first because a lot of times you get better.
So have you seen much in anaphylaxis?
Yeah. We see it all. Yeah, so much. Again, because, you know, me being in an allergy office, I mean, that's what comes into me. Mm-hmm. Now I've heard like the rheumatology sees it a lot in their practice, not the anaphylaxis part. They would send that over. And so that's part of their standard lab. The neurology group, they're seeing like a lot of it with the migraines and kind of just atypical symptoms. And so they'll test for it a lot. But in my office, what comes in are those like, oh my goodness, my lips swelled and I ended up in the ER. You know, so yeah, I see it quite a bit. But the good news, I was like, you avoid it and that stuff goes away. And so like then it's just a matter of avoidance.
Unless you're doing fast food and you forget.
Right, yes. Yeah, and then it can happen. We always prescribe an EpiPen.
That was my next question. You beat me to it.
Yeah, that's okay. But even in patients that have never had it, because again, it's just in case and you never know.
Mm-hmm. So everybody gets an
EpiPen.
So how much of your practice is alpha-gal in the allergy?
Yeah, so now I was trying to think of that all the way over. I was like, I need to actually look. I mean, we have a ton of alpha-gal patients. I probably diagnose, or primaries are knowing more about it now and diagnosing and sending them, but probably like 5 new a week, I would say.
Oh my God.
Like a lot.
It's like an epidemic.
Yes.
It's crazy. Because we still
and ticks are everywhere.
Much about it.
No. So it was discovered in 2009. And so like there's always new research on it. Mm-hmm. There was an update. Well, it was kind of an update. It was like an updated thing from UNC. That's where they discovered it. And but there's still not anything new on it. Now, some research, like the research does show, like you may outgrow it. Now, there's kind of like, hey, is it just in remission or are you outgrowing it? But like I do see some patients like that their lab does go negative. And so there is that possibility. But,
so how often should they have their labs?
So I usually do it like once a year. There's not a set standard. And so like, you know, like, but I feel like, because I mean, I do it a lot. Like we have a lot of those patients. And I mean, most of them are still positive, but like if you did it more than that, that's just a bit excessive. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of feel like a once a year check is good. Mm-hmm.
See it. And then so it could, you were positive and now you're negative.
Yes. Yes. And then I have a little like more strict testing. Like I make them get 2 negative tests just to make sure. Because again, there's nothing like really out there on like, this is the standard. And like, is it going to get, so I kind of make them do 2 negative tests to really make them proven before I'm just like, okay, you're good.
So when do you recommend that people get tested for alpha-gal? Is that just like it should be a standard thing nowadays?
So, not necessarily. So we don't just like I've never been tested because I don't have weird symptoms. But if I develop weird symptoms, I'd want to get tested.
I didn't either.
But, So like we don't recommend just like blanket testing because we don't really know like the level of false positive. And so I don't ever just order it if there's not something in there like symptoms that they're telling me that I'm not semi-suspicious for. Now, anything weird, like I'm like, let's just order alpha-gal just to make sure. Like if it's just not making sense. Because the other thing I didn't mention, but alpha-gal, so it causes delayed symptoms, reactions. And so it can happen like 2 to 8 hours later versus like your typical allergic reaction is like within 30, 45 minutes or so. And so it's just strange. So sometimes people can't find the pattern or the link because like they're waking up in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning and really they're reacting to like what they had for dinner the night before.
Okay.
And so it can be weird. But it is not recommended just to kind of have like a blanket test because we don't know the level of false positives. But like if someone's coming in and they're having anaphylaxis and hives and again they're an adult and it tests positive for that and they're like, are you sure? Like, absolutely. Because I have a high index of suspicion because their symptoms are so weird anyway and we have ticks everywhere. And then that just kind of, it's more like confirming it.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so then a few other things with alpha-gal, kind of looping back to that. Okay, so people often ask, because they'll be positive and they'll even sometimes be told by like other healthcare, whoever tested them, like, oh, you're barely positive. Well, that's not really a thing, okay? So like the number, anything, I see it all the time. Like, I mean, I talk about this all the time. But anyway, so anything over 0.10 is considered positive. So like I have patients that come in and it's like 0.11 and they came to me because they're having anaphylaxis. So that would be what would be considered a barely positive, but no, positive is positive. Then I have others, we don't recommend just like blanket testing.
Right.
So, again, not by me, but like they got tested, like their spouse had it or something. And then they're like, I got bitten by ticks. I wonder if I should be tested. And these people, I remember them because I'm like, oh, those poor people. I mean, so they like really had it. Their level was like 75. However, they had like 0 symptoms. So they would get sent to me because I was positive and I'd ask about it. I'm like, you don't? I'm like, well, I mean, I have to tell you should avoid it, but like, I'm sorry, like that you were even tested because you have like 0 symptoms. Like, here's an EpiPen, do what you want, but like you should avoid, that. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we don't recommend blanket testing, but really positive is positive. It doesn't necessarily matter the number. And then a lot of people ask me like, hey, is there a cure for it or no? So we do see that people can outgrow it. The research is showing, which the research is changing all the time, that the best way to help make it go away or like, I guess, increase your odds is no more tick bites. And so, and that's really hard around here because ticks are everywhere. So, bug spray and all of that. They even have like the permethrin infused clothing. So that's what improves. So that and then avoidance can help it go away. But a lot of people ask me about acupuncture. So acupuncture has not been proven. They are doing research on it. Mm-hmm. And so, but I see a whole lot of patients, like I just see the whole realm. So like I see people that come in and diagnose and then they outgrow it and they've done nothing but avoid it. And then I have patients that get acupuncture. If they get it, I say, hey, still avoid it, but come back to see me a month later. Again, no, this is just me like, hey, let it settle in. I just, out of all the people that come to see me. And then I retest a month later and it may be negative. It may still be positive. But I have a whole bunch of patients that get acupuncture that still have it. I do have a few that like, it worked for me. And I'm like, great, but there's not like consistent research on, like showing that each time. Right. And so I say like, there's no harm in trying, but don't trust it. So, like still avoid it. But if you could like, if it would potentially help the cross-contamination or like the concern, like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know. Like they're intentionally trying some, so it won't hurt, but I definitely say don't trust it because we do see it all the time. And then with alpha-gal being kind of like a anytime allergy and not just the every time allergy, where they can outgrow it anyway, we're like, oh, that time they're good, but that time, so it's just like, doesn't hurt to try, but it's not like, it's not a research cure. And if when it is, I will probably get certified in it because then I'll just do it in my office. Yeah. But it's not there yet, so I'm not going to do it. So it's just kind of, and it's not FDA approved, so I can't like officially recommend it, but that's kind of my like spiel on it. Doesn't hurt to try, just don't trust it.
Just don't trust it.
Yeah.
Okay, just don't trust it. Try it, but don't trust it.
Yeah. And that's only if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.